The restaurant was unusually quiet that evening. Soft jazz hummed from the speakers, blending with the faint clinking of cutlery and the warm chatter of families enjoying their meals. Emma, a young waitress with tired eyes but a warm smile, balanced a tray in her hands. She'd worked here for 3 years, ever since her mother fell ill and medical bills swallowed every cent of their savings. She was used to long shifts, to sore feet, and to putting on a smile even when her heart felt heavy. But tonight was different. Tonight, a man walked in who carried himself with such presence that every head turned. His suit was perfectly tailored, his shoes shone as though polished by the stars, and his expression bore the quiet confidence of someone who had the world at his fingertips. This was Daniel Harrington, a billionaire known not just for his wealth, but also for his philanthropy. He rarely appeared in public without security or flashing cameras, but tonight, he came alone, seeking quiet refuge in the small, family-run restaurant Emma worked in. Emma didn't recognize him at first. To her, he was just another customer, though his air of grief was hard to miss. His eyes scanned the room not with curiosity, but with a hollow sadness, like a man searching for something he had long since lost. When she approached his table with her usual gentle greeting, she noticed something peculiar. Daniel wasn't looking at the menu. Instead, his gaze was fixed on the large framed portrait hanging on the wall above the fireplace. It was a painting the owner had bought years ago from a local artist, a stunning portrait of a woman with kind eyes, her neck adorned with a delicate, sparkling necklace. Emma had always admired that painting. She often caught herself staring at it during slow nights, wondering who the woman was, what her story might have been, and why her expression seemed so full of secrets. As Emma set the glass of water on Daniel's table, she followed his gaze toward the portrait. His face had gone pale. His lips trembled as if he wanted to speak but couldn't. "Sir, are you all right?" Emma asked gently, placing the tray down. He swallowed hard, then whispered in a voice that cracked with emotion, "That necklace." Emma tilted her head. "The necklace in the portrait?" "Yes," Daniel said, his eyes brimming with tears. "It belonged to my late wife." Emma froze, the words hitting her like a thunderclap. She glanced back at the painting, her heart racing. "Your wife?" "That's her," he said, pointing at the portrait. That's my Catherine." Emma's knees almost buckled beneath her. She reached for the edge of the table to steady herself. For years, she had stared at that portrait, feeling some strange connection to the woman's kind smile. And now, the man sitting in front of her, a billionaire grieving his lost love, was telling her the truth behind it, but there was more. Emma felt a lump rise in her throat, because she, too, recognized that necklace. Not from the painting. Not from stories. But from her own childhood. I know that necklace," she whispered. Daniel's head snapped toward her, his eyes wide. "What did you say?" Emma's voice shook as she continued, "That necklace. I saw it once, years ago. My mother had a photograph of it. She told me it was a gift from someone very special, someone who had promised to take care of her but never came back." The restaurant seemed to fall silent around them. Daniel's world tilted on its axis. He leaned forward, gripping the edge of the table. "What was your mother's name?" Emma hesitated. Elena Moore." Daniel gasped. His face crumpled, and for the first time in decades, the billionaire who had faced boardrooms, lawsuits, and media storms without shedding a tear broke down in front of a simple waitress. "Elena," he whispered. "I knew her. She was Catherine's best friend. She was the one who introduced us." Tears spilled from Daniel's eyes. His voice trembled as he confessed, "I lost track of her after Catherine passed away. I searched for her, but I never found her. And now I realize she must have been raising you all along, struggling, while I lived in my world of wealth and grief." Emma's eyes stung. She had spent her whole life wondering why her mother often gazed at that photograph with sorrow in her eyes. Why she whispered Catherine's name sometimes in her sleep. And now, sitting before her, was the missing piece of her mother's untold story. The challenges they faced. The days that followed were a storm of emotions. Daniel kept returning to the restaurant, each time asking Emma about her life, about her mother's struggles, and about the necklace. Emma confessed how her mother had worked 2 jobs, how Emma herself had dropped out of college to keep food on the table, and how the bills kept piling up since her mother's illness. Daniel was tormented with guilt. He had been living in luxury, unaware that the woman who once meant so much to his late wife was fighting to survive. He wanted to help, but Emma, proud and guarded, resisted at first. "You can't just buy your way into fixing everything," she told him one evening, tears streaming down her face. "We've survived without your billions all this time. Why now?" Daniel looked at her, his voice heavy with sincerity. "Because Catherine would never forgive me if I turned my back on her best friend's daughter. Because your mother gave me the greatest gift, introducing me to the love of my life. And because I failed her once already. I won't fail her again." Emma struggled to trust him, torn between gratitude and suspicion. She had grown up believing the wealthy lived in another world, far removed from her reality. But slowly, through his persistence and his genuine kindness, Daniel began to bridge that gap. He visited her mother in the hospital, covering